Hello children, today we'll continue with the chapter, the 8th chapter, hydrogen chloride, study of compounds, hydrogen chloride, the 8th chapter. In the previous video, we learnt about the laboratory preparation of hydrogen chloride. Today, we'll deal with the physical properties. Physical properties you can go through in the book. Like, what is the color of the gas? It is colorless. What is the odor? It is having a suffocating odor. Is it corrosive? Yes, the gas is corrosive to our lungs and the throat, and even the concentrated acid is corrosive to our skin. What about the density of the gas, hydrogen chloride? It is denser, that it is around 1 and a quarter times heavier than air. What about solubility of hydrogen chloride gas? It is highly soluble in water, and that is why we saw that the method of collection of the gas in the lab is not the downward displacement of water. It is not over water, but we collect it by the method of upward displacement of air. Why we cannot collect it by over water? Because it is highly soluble in water. Okay, now let us go on to one important experiment here. It is a very important experiment from the examination point of view, and that is the fountain experiment. And here we call it the red fountain experiment. The red fountain experiment. Okay, now let us see what is the setup. We have a round bottom flask, and in that round bottom flask, the cork is fitted to a jet tube. What do you mean by a jet tube, children? A jet tube means it is open on either side. Both the sides it is open. See, here also it is open and here also. So this tube is called a jet tube. So a jet tube is connected to the round bottom flask and the trough below here. And also we have a glass dropper here containing water. So this contains water, plain water. This here it contains what? Hydrogen chloride gas. The round bottom flask contains hydrogen chloride gas. This dropper contains water. The jet tube leads from the round bottom flask to a trough containing blue litmus solution. Blue litmus solution. Blue litmus solution. Okay? So, this is the setup, red fountain experiment. Now, what happens? First we will press this dropper. When we press the dropper, the water will come out from here. Water comes out. And we know that hydrogen chloride is highly soluble in water. So in those few drops of water which has fallen into the round bottom flask, a considerable amount of hydrogen chloride gas will dissolve. Okay? So this gas dissolves, not all of it, but a good amount of the gas dissolves in those few drops of water, and a partial vacuum is created in the round bottom flask. A low pressure area is produced in the round bottom flask. Due to this low pressure here, and here there is atmospheric pressure acting on this blue litmus solution, what will happen? The blue litmus solution will be forced into the round bottom flask. So from it will get into this jet tube and it will be pouring out like this. And when it comes and that jet comes out from there, then what will happen? This blue litmus will turn into red. Why? Because of the presence of hydrogen chloride gas in the round bottom flask, and we will see it as a round red fountain here in the round bottom flask. When the blue litmus solution is forced to get into the round bottom flask, we will see it as a red fountain there, not blue. Why? Because the blue litmus turns red because of the presence of hydrogen chloride gas, which is acidic in nature. Okay, and this is the fountain experiment, red fountain experiment. Now tell me children, which property of hydrogen chloride gas is being illustrated here, demonstrated? Yes, it is the high solubility of, so which is the property? Property is high solubility of HCl gas in water. Okay, so what is it? High solubility of HCl gas in water. Because the HCl gas, because when we press this dropper, few drops of water came out from there and HCl gas dissolved in that water, few drops of water. That is why only the blue litmus from the trough was pulled into the round bottom flask. And that is the reason why we could see the red fountain there. If the HCl gas would not have dissolved in those few drops of water, would there be a red fountain formed? No. So this experiment demonstrates the high solubility of HCl gas in water and not the acidic nature of HCl. Not the acidic nature. Okay? HCl is acidic in nature, and because of that the blue litmus turns into red when it gets into the round bottom flask. But this experiment is not showing the acidic nature of HCl gas. It is showing the high solubility of HCl in water. Remember that, because had the HCl not dissolved in water, then this blue litmus solution would not have been sucked into the round bottom flask. Okay, so which experiment does this fountain experiment demonstrate? High solubility of HCl in water. This high is very, very important. Okay, you cannot simply write solubility, high solubility. Okay, next we come to if we have to get hydrochloric acid, then what? How to get it? Till now we learned in the previous video, we had seen how to produce hydrogen chloride gas, and we collected it by the upward displacement of air. But now I want hydrochloric acid. How will we get it? Yes, coming to that. Hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid. So, the same setup as we had seen in the lab preparation, children. Just recall it. We had a round bottom flask which was being continuously heated with a Bunsen burner. The thistle funnel was there. Then we had a delivery tube which led into concentrated sulfuric acid, because we had taken concentrated sulfuric acid as a drying agent. No need of drying it now. Directly from the round bottom flask, we will take a delivery tube which leads into, no need of drying because now we are going to dissolve this gas in water. Okay, so we are going to dissolve it, so no need of drying it. So why to use concentrated sulfuric acid? We direct from the round bottom flask, the delivery tube comes into the trough containing water. Okay. Now this HCl gas will be led into this water, and this water, we know by now that HCl is highly soluble in water. So it will dissolve and form hydrochloric acid here. But here there is one problem. What is the problem? The problem is that the rate of absorption of HCl gas in water is much higher than the rate of production of HCl gas in the round bottom flask. In the round bottom flask, HCl is being produced, but it is being produced at a lower rate, lower speed. And here, HCl comes here and quickly dissolves in water. Then what happens? A partial vacuum will be created in the delivery tube and maybe even inside the round bottom flask. So what will happen? Because of the partial vacuum created, what will happen is the water from here, because here atmospheric pressure is acting and here the pressure has gone down. So what will happen? The water will be sucked into the delivery tube and ultimately the round bottom flask. This method, this is called back suction. Back suction. Okay, so this back suction will result in very adverse result. What can it do? This cold water, when it gets into a 200 degrees Celsius flask, what can happen? It can crack. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, back suction may lead to cracking of this delivery tube as well as the flask. So we have to prevent back suction. And how to prevent back suction? Here, to prevent back suction, we can do one special setup. What is that setup? We will put an inverted funnel. Into the end of the delivery tube. The end of this, the tube of this funnel, we will insert it into the delivery tube, and the inverted funnel will keep it just at the surface of water, just touching the surface, not immersed in the water or not above, hanging above, no. So it should neither be like this, it should neither be like this, okay, that is the funnel is not touching the surface of water, no, nor should it be like this. Nor should the funnel be immersed in water like this. This is also wrong. These both are wrong. Neither should the funnel be above the surface of water like this, nor should it be immersed in water like this, but it should only be touching the surface of water. Okay? Now how will this serve the purpose? It serves the purpose in two ways. One, it prevents or minimizes back suction. Second, it allows a larger area for absorption. So larger area than the cross section of that, the end of the delivery tube. Here there is more area for absorption of the gas. Okay. So this funnel arrangement, there are two advantages for using this funnel arrangement. What are the two advantages? One, it minimizes back suction, and two, it provides a larger surface area for absorption of the gas. So this is the correct method. Now what happens? How does it minimize back suction? Let us see. Suppose the gas is all dissolved here. No more gas is left. A partial vacuum is created in the delivery tube. Then what will happen? The water from this trough will be sucked into the funnel. It will be sucked into the funnel, and when it is sucked into, some amount of water is sucked into the funnel will, the water level will go down. Yes, the water level will go down because some amount of water is sucked. So the water level will go down. Yes, like this it will go down, and the funnel and the water has lost its contact. Now what will happen? The water which is sucked into the funnel cannot stay there. It cannot stay there. So quickly it will drop. It will drop. Again, by then again more gas is produced and the same process is repeated. So whenever there is a chance of back suction, the water gets into the funnel and the water contact is lost. So no more water can reach the flask, the hot flask. So it loses contact, and then the water, because of gravitational pull, it drops back. So this goes on occurring and back suction does not happen. Okay. So this is the method by which we prepare hydrochloric acid. When according to our need, if the concentration is set, we can take this the solution, the hydrochloric acid here, from here, and simply if you heat it, boil it. When you boil that acid, dilute acid here, the extra water will all evaporate when we boil it. So on boiling, what will happen? This dilute acid, water will evaporate, and this acid will go on becoming concentrated and more concentrated. Okay? But this happens only till the concentration of 22.2% acid. When it is 22.2% acid, this solution now becomes a constant boiling mixture. Now at this concentration, that is 22.2% acid, we can no more concentrate this acid by mere boiling. Okay, why? Because when it boils, now this has become a constant boiling mixture, and this happens at 110 degrees Celsius. At 110 degrees Celsius, the acid concentration will be 22.2% and the water will be 77.8%, and no more. If you heat it further, boil it further, what will happen? The vapor will also contain the same percentage of acid and water. That is, the vapor will also contain 22.2% of acid vapors and 77.8% of water vapor. That means there will be no change in the concentration of this solution, and this solution, which at 110 degrees Celsius and 22.2% acid concentration, that boils with no change in concentration, is called constant boiling mixture or azeotropic mixture. Okay, so till 22.2%, if it is suppose 10% acid, then when you boil it, you will see that when in the vapor there will be only water vapor coming out, and this, as a result, the acid will go on becoming concentrated and more concentrated. But when it reaches a concentration of 22.2% acid, then After boiling also, the concentration of this solution will not change. That means even the vapor will contain the same concentration of acid and the water vapor as it is present here. There will be no change in concentration. This is called constant boiling mixture or an azeotrope or an azeotropic mixture. So if you have to concentrate it above 22.2% HCl, hydrochloric acid, then you have to distill it over concentrated sulfuric acid. That is the method. Distillation over concentrated sulfuric acid. But by mere boiling, you cannot concentrate it more than 22.2%. Okay children, this was all about the physical properties of hydrogen chloride gas, hydrochloric acid. Hydrogen chloride gas. Now, hydrogen chloride in acid chapter also I had told you, this hydrogen chloride gas doesn't have any effect on a dry blue litmus paper. Why? Because it doesn't have hydronium ions. It doesn't produce hydronium ions. So, a dry hydrogen chloride gas is not acidic. Liquefied hydrogen chloride is also not acidic because no water molecules are present. And if water molecules are not present, it won't ionize and form hydronium ion. The hydrogen chloride gas is also soluble in toluene. Toluene, which is an organic compound, it dissolves and forms a solution. But this hydrogen chloride gas dissolved in toluene also does not change the the blue litmus paper. Why? No change in the color of the blue litmus paper, because though a solution is formed in toluene, but hydronium ion is not there because of the absence of water. Only in the presence of water will HCl, hydrogen chloride gas, produce hydronium ion, and hydronium ion is a reason for all acidic properties. So we need water. So dry HCl gas, liquefied HCl gas, or HCl gas dissolved in toluene, the solution, neither of the three will change the color of the blue litmus paper into red, showing the non-acidic properties. Why? Because of the lack of hydronium ion there. And hydronium ion can be formed only when HCl gas dissolves in water. Okay, and in the next video we will come back to do the chemical properties of hydrochloric acid and hydrogen chloride gas both together.